Hashem. Today we're doing Daf Samech Gimel Amud Bet. We're holding on the very, very top of Samech Gimel Amud Bet, top line. Says Makri le Rav Yehuda Rav Yitzchak Bere. So Rav Yehuda was teaching his son Rav Yitzchak Pesukim, and he got to the following pasuk. He taught him Motzeani Mar Mimavet Ta'isha, that I find the Isha to be more more bitter than Mavet. So Amar le Kegon Man. So his son asked him, what's an example of this? Which Isha is Mar Mimavet? So he said, Kegoni Mecha, like your mother. The Gemara asked, V'amadni le Rav Yehuda le Rav Yitzchak Bere. We know a different story that Rav Yehuda was teaching Rav Yitzchak, his son. He said, Adam Matzeh Korat Ruach el Mishto Rishona, that a person only finds Korat Ruach from his first wife. Shnei Emar, Yihi Mikorecha Baruch V'samach Me'eshet Neurecha. So the first wife he taught his son is something that's very good, and his mother was the first wife. Amalek Kegon Man, he said, what's an example of this? Kegoni Mecha, like your mother. So on the one hand, he's saying his mother, who's Rav Yehuda's wife, is Mar Mimavet, and on the other hand, he's teaching his son that the mother is brings him Korat Ruach and Simcha. So the Gemara says, Mitkaf Tekifa V'avure Me'abera. On the one hand, she's strong and sharp, and on the other hand, Avure Me'abera, she's it's easy for her to become appeased. Bemila, with just a word. We're gonna come back to this. There's a bunch of Gemarot, and at the end, I think we're gonna explain a yesod that applies to everything. So, what's an example of Ishara? Amar Abaye, Mekashtele Tachal, Mekashtele Puma. She sets the table for him, Mekashtele Puma, and she also sets her mouth. Meaning she just talks and yells at him and says bad things. Rava Amar Mekashtele Tachal Mahadre Gaba. Rava says she sets the table for him, but then she doesn't even eat with him. She doesn't talk to him at all. Rava understands silent treatment, not talking, is worse than talking bad things. Amar Rabbi Chama Bar Chanina, says Rabbi Chama Bar Chanina, Kevan Shenasa Adam Isha Avonotav Mitpakekin. When a person gets married, Avonotav Mitpakekin, his avonot stop, they get clogged up. Shneimar Matzah Isha Matzatov Vayafek Ratzom Hashem. We learn from the word Vayafek like pikuk, that is avonot get clogged. B'ma'arava Kinasi V'inish Itita Amri Lehachi. In Eretz Yisrael, when a person gets married, so they would tell him like this: Matzah or Motzeh? Matzah, dichtiv Matzah Isha Matzah Tov. Motzeh, dichtiv Motzah Ani Mar Mimavet Isha. They would tell him, you're Matzah or are you Motzeh? Matzah is Matzah Isha Matzah Tov, that things are going well, you have a good you found a good wife. Or Motzeh, like the pasuk says, Motzeh Ani Mar Mimavet Isha. Or is it not so good? It's Mar Mimavet. Amar Rava, Isha Ra'ah mitzvah legaresh. Isha Ra'ah, it's a mitzvah to be megaresh. Again, we're going to come back at the end to say a yesod that's going to explain all of these Gemaras, I believe. Tichdiv garesh letz v'yatza madon v'ishbot din v'kalon. We learn from that pasuk, right? Garesh letz, get rid of the letz, and v'yatza madon, and get rid of the one who's causing fights. V'ishbot din v'kalon. Amar, and then the kalon is going to be removed. It's going to stop. V'amar Rava Isha Ra'ah uchtuvata merubat tzarata b'tzida. If there's an Isha Ra'ah, bad Isha, and her ktuba is too much, so get is not going to be much of an option because you can't afford it. It's a very high ktuba. Tzarata b'tzida. Her co-wife is at her side, meaning Damri Inshi bechaverta vela besilta. She'll be affected more by her friend than by a thorn. Meaning having that in place, having a tzara by her will sometimes shape her up. V'amar Rava, kashe isha ra'ah ki yom sagrir. So an isha ra'ah is bad like a yom sagrir, like a day, like a stormy day. Shneimar Delef Tored b'Yom Sagrir ve'Eshet Midyanim Nishtava. Yom Sagrir and Eshet Midyanim, which is like Riv and Madonna, woman of who's Boker Tov. Amar Rava Bo Kama Tova Isha Tova v'Kama Ra'a Isha Ra'a. So we're going to go through this part a little bit fast, just because we have to finish by the right time. So Rava teaches that come and see how good a good Isha is and how bad a bad Isha is. Kama Tova Isha Tova, Dichtiv Matzah Isha Matzah Tov. The pasuk says Matzah Isha Matzah Tov. So if the pasuk is talking about an actual Isha, Kama Tova Isha Tova Shakatuv Mishabecha, you see the pasuk is praising her. If Isha is really just a code word for Torah, and the pasuk is talking about Torah, this pasuk Matzah Isha Matzah Tov. So if the pasuk is really talking about Torah, Isha is just a code for Torah. So if that's the case, still, Kama Tova Isha Tova Shatorah Nimshela Ba. The fact that the Torah is a mashal for a wife is a mashal for a Torah, a woman is a mashal for Torah, shows you how much the Torah is praising in Isha Tova. Kama Ra'a Isha Ra'a. Again, these are going to be perplexing, but we're going to explain at the end. You see how bad an Isha Ra'a is. Dichtiv Motzani Mar Mimavet Et Isha. The pasuk says an Isha could be Mar Mimavet, more bitter than death. Ibagava Mishtay Krav. The pasuk is talking about an actual wife. So Kama Ra Isha Ra Shakatuv Megana. You see how bad a bad Isha could be, that the pasuk is degrading her, is being Meganeh. If Isha is just a mashal for Gehenom, and the pasuk is really referring to Gehenom, I
thought we just said Isha is Torah.
So in the pasuk of Matzah Isha Matzah Tov, it's a mashal for Torah. But in the pasuk of Motzeani Mar Mimavet Et Isha, we're saying it a negative trait. That's it would, if you want to learn that pasuk is really Isha is a reference to Gehenom over there. So either way, you see Kamara Isha Rashi Gehenomim Shalaba. It's compared to Gehenom. Okay, so the pasuk says, the Gemara now quotes a pasuk. Hineni mevi ra'a asher lo yachalu latzet mimena. The Navi says, I'm going to bring something bad that people are not going to be able to get out of. So Amar Rav Nachman, Amar Rava bar Avua zu isha ra'a uktubata merubah. Rav Nachman teaches that this is talking about a woman who's an isha ra'a, she's a bad isha, and ketubata merubah. Her ketubah is very, very expensive, so the person can't afford to give a get because they can't afford to pay the ketubah. Next pasuk says, V'natati netanani Hashem bidei lu chalkum. Hashem, this is pasuk in Eicha. Hashem put me in a place, says Yirmiyah Navi, in a situation where I can't get up.
I thought ketubah was a set price.
Nowadays we use a set price, but technically a person could put any amount in there.
Oh, back then they could put whatever they want.
Nowadays also a person could technically demand to put whatever amount he wants, but we just give a set value. So Amar Rav Chisda, Amar Mar Ukva Bar Chia, Zo Isha Ra'a Uktubata Merubah. This pasuk is also talking about the same thing. But Ma'arava Amru, Zeshem Zonatav Tiluyin Pekaspo. In Eretz Yisrael, they taught that this pasuk that says Hashem put me in a place where I can't get up, it's talking about somebody who has no access to his own resources to plant and grow food. It's all dependent on how much on his money. Banecha uvnotecha netunim la'am acher. Pasuk says your sons and daughters are going to be given to another an am acher. So Amar Rav Chanan bar Rava, Amar Rav zu eshet av. This is referring to the father-in-law. That the father-in-law sometimes, same way Lavan, that the father-in-law could sometimes be overbearing in that vein. Begoy naval achisem boker tov. Pasuk says begoy naval achisem, with a disgusting nation I'm going to anger them. So Amar Rav Chanan bar Rava, Amar Rav zo isha ra'ah. This goy naval is referring to an isha ra'ah ktubata merubah, and her ketubah is too much that he can't afford to pay it if he gives a get. Rabbi Eliezer Omer elu hatzidukim. This goy naval is the tzidukim, or some have a girsa of minim. V'chen hu omer amar naval belibo en Elohim. You see, naval is someone who doesn't believe in HaKadosh Baruch. B'matnita tana, in a braita, we learned that this pasuk that says begoy naval achisem, with a disgusting nation I'm going to anger them, elu anshe barbaria. These are the people of Barbaria, the barbarians, Vanshe Martinai, and the people of Martinai. I'm not sure where these places are, but Shemahalechin Arumim Beshuk, that they go unclothed, or at least not wearing enough clothes in the shuk, in public. Shein lecha mishukatz umtuav lifnei hamakom yoter mimi shema'alech beshuk arum. There's nothing more disgusting in front of HaKadosh Baruch Hu more than somebody who goes in the shuk unclothed. Rabbi Yochanan Amar Elu Chavarim. Rabbi Yochanan says, you know what this Goy Naval is, this disgusting nation that Hashem says He's going to bring on Am Yisrael? These are the Chavarim, which was a group of Parsim, that they would be not so good to the Jews. So Amru Leilu Rabbi Yochanan Atu Chavarei Bavel. So they one time said to Rabbi Yochanan that, these people are coming to Bavel, these Parsim, they're on their way to Bavel. So Shaga Nafal, he kind of like collapsed and he fell. He was very, very terrified, or disheartened that they were coming to Bavel. So Amrulei Mekabli Shochda. But they told Rabbi Yochanan, these Parsim, they take bribes. You could easily bribe them, and they won't bother you. So Charitz Yativ, so he kind of got his ruach back, and he sat up. He was like, okay, if that's the case, we can handle it. Gazru al Shalosha. So these Chabarim, these people, when they came to Bavel, they made gezeras against the Jews. There were three main gezerot that they made. So Rabbi Yochanan said, Mipnei Shalosha, it's because of three averot. Hashem made this happen, that they came and they made these gezerot because of the following averot that Bnei Yisrael had. So what were these gezerot? Number one, Gazru al Basar, that they made a gezerah that they can't shecht meat, they can't have kasher meat. It was something that even recently, I think in some European countries, tried to outlaw shechita. But either way, they made a gezerah that they can't make shechita. So Rabbi Yochanan said, Mimnei matanot. You know why? Because Bnei Yisrael were not giving matanot keuna. They were not giving the parts of the meat to the kohen that they need to give. Also, Gazru ala merchatzaot. They made a gezerah that they can't use the mikveh. That, if somebody becomes tameh, he can't go to the mikveh. So, shower, bathhouses, but that includes the mikveh. So Rabbi Yochanan said, Mimnei tevilah. It's because people were not being as makpid as they needed to when it comes to going to the mikveh, when it comes to being mitaher themselves. So therefore, they made a decree against the bathhouses. Kamechatati shichvi. They were also digging up dead bodies from the kevarim. These chavarim, the Parsim that came to Bavel, they were doing this. So Rabbi Yochanan said, you know why they're doing it? Mimnei shesemechim beyom edam, because the Jews in Bavel were celebrating also in their Yom Edam, in their holidays. Shneimar va'ita yad Hashem bachem uv'avotechem. The pasuk says Hashem's hand is going to be against you and against your fathers. The problem is that their fathers are not alive anymore. So Amar Rabba Bar Shmuel zochitutei shechvi. This is a reference. This pasuk that says that Hashem's hand is going to be on you and on your fathers is a reference that the fathers who are in the Kvarim are also going to be desecrated and violated and are going to be dug up. Damar mar ba'avon chayim metim mitchatetin. That we have a teaching that because of the avera of the living people, the metim mitchatetin, the people who are in the Kvarim, they are dug up. Amar le Rava le Rabba bar Mare. So Rava said to Rabba bar Mare, Ktiv lo ye'asefu v'lo yikaberu ledomen al pinei adama yiyu. Pasuk says, this pasuk I believe is referring to the time after the Churban. The pasuk says that it's talking about the Nevi'ei Sheker. The pasuk says that they're not going to be given a proper burial, but ledomen al pinei adama yiyu. They're going to be like dead body on the ground. Uchtiv, and the pasuk says right afterwards, v'nivchar mavet mechaim, and we choose death more than life. So the question is, why would you choose death more than life if you see that this is the death? It's not even a death that's kavod with a burial, and so Amar le nivchar mavet l'rishaim shelo yichyu ba'olam hazeh v'yichateu v'yiplu b'gehenom. It's better for rishaim to have death and not have life in olam hazeh because the longer they're alive, the more avonot they rack up, and they're going to spend longer in Gehenom. So it's better for them to leave Olam Hazeh prematurely and have mitah to diminish their time in Gehenom. Okay, just to explain, where there's going to be more Gemarot, just to explain, I just explain a little bit. I said we would come back to a lot of the Gemara. So we had a bunch of Gemarot that, for example, Rav Yehuda told his son, there's a pasuk, Matzah Isha Matzah Tov. There's a pasuk, Motzani Mar Mimavet Et Isha. And the son said, oh, who's an example of that? He said, your mother. And then a different time he was teaching him, Eshet Midanim is a pleasure from the woman. He said, who's an example of that? Your mother. Right? The Gemara also said, I think this Gemara is a key Gemara. The Gemara said that in Eretz Yisrael they would ask, when somebody gets married, Matzah or Motzeh? So what does that mean? Are you Matzah Isha Matzah Tov? Or Motzeh Ani Mar Mivavet Isha? So the Gemara didn't say they ask. The Gemara said Amrulo, they tell him. And additionally, a big question is, the guy just got married. How is he supposed to know yet? He got married yesterday. You need to give him a few years to, understand. Is it Isha Tov or not Tov? Experience marriage a little bit.
A couple years before you figure that out?
To experience before he sees.
Is it time to adjust?
Oh, so
yeah.
I guess the dating doesn't matter then. You're never going to figure it out.
No, but there are different things. Different things come.
Adjustments come from two different.
Yeah, it takes time to figure out. So what do you mean asking him Matzah Isha Matzah Tov? The guy got married yesterday. What type of thing is that?
You just never know.
So I think the answer is like this. I think they're not asking him. They're telling him. It says Amru. They're telling him. What are they telling him? They're telling him it's up to you. You decide. Are you matzah or motzeh? Everyone comes in a package.
You could make it.
Everyone comes in a package. Everyone has their good qualities and their bad qualities. The question is, what do you see? What do you focus on? You decide if she's going to be Isha Tov or not. If you focus on the positive and you give her, you fulfill her needs because of that, and you give her, the love and attention that she should have, so then she's going to be Isha Tova. But if you don't, if you decide to be Motzeh Ani Mar Mimavet Isha, and that's what you focus on, that's what you see, and because of that, she understands and she feels, not loved, she feels like she's not getting her emotional needs met, so then she's going to be in Isha Ra'ah. Right? But it's all dependent on you, and I think that's what he's teaching his son. He's teaching his son, Motzeh Ani Mar Mimavet Isha, like who? Your mother. And a person only finds Kurat Ruach from his first wife, like who? Your mother. Because he's saying it's everyone has both of these qualities and both of these sides. It's up to you to decide. It's also why we said Isha Ra'ah Mitzvah Legarsha. If a person doesn't see the good in the woman, she's gonna feel unloved. She's gonna see that. She's gonna feel unloved. She's gonna be in Isha Ra'ah. Okay. Either way, let's continue. So Katuv Besefer Ben Sira. So a few lines before it gets very wide on the bottom. So a lot of advice in this Sefer Ben Sira. Isha Tova Matana Tova LeBaala. A good wife is a matana from Hashem to her husband. Uchtiv. It says in the pasuk Tova Bechek Yireh Elokim Tinaten, that Hashem gives this gift in the lap of a Yireh Elokim. Isha Ra'ah Tzara'at leBaala. A bad Isha is like a tzara'at to her husband. Mai takante. How do you fix it? Yigarshina v'yitrape mitzarato. He has to get away from it and clean himself from his tzara'at.
But Garshina means the divorce, isn't it?
It is. But I think in this, I think it's the same concept that we said before. If she's an Isha Ra'ah, that means he's looking at her negative, and he's not able to, have a relationship with somebody if he's doing that, and he can't, work with her and focus on the positive, at least with her. Okay, Isha Yafa Ashrei Ba'ala. A woman who is Yafa, who is a good woman, a beautiful one. Ashrei Ba'ala, praiseworthy is her husband. Mispar Yamav Kiflaim. It's like his life is doubled, meaning he enjoys life to the point that it's doubled if he has a harmony with his wife. Ha'elim enecha me'eshet chen. Remove your eyes from, somebody else's good wife. Pen tilaked bimtsudata. Perhaps you're going to be trapped in her, you're going to be caught in her trap.
In her trap?
In her trap, meaning,
You're going to be...
get caught up in something not good. right?
Not good.
In her trap that she sets. Yeah, we're saying a person needs to keep distance from somebody else's wife. It's very easy to compare and to, a person's view of other people's life is very limited, and it's always very easy to see somebody else's wife and compare. When do you see her? You see her when she's all dressed up and has makeup at the weddings and at the parties, and you don't see what's going on behind closed doors. You don't see how she behaves and how she's acting and how she looks and all these things.
You cannot have beef all the time. Sometimes you want chicken. Yeah. Like the expression they say.
Okay. Altat etzel ba'ala lismoch imo yain v'shechar. Don't get too close to her husband that you're all just spending time in his house having wine and beer. Ki betuar isha yafa rabim hushchatu. Because a lot of people, they made this mistake. Vatsumim kol hurugea, and the death that she caused because of this is great. So a person has to be very careful. Rabim hayu pitzei rochel hamargilim lidvar avera. So pitzei rochel, the people who rochel is a person who
rumors, right?
What?
A rumor person?
No, rochel. Oh, that's the pasuk uses a rochel. Al telech rachil amecha, but rochel is somebody who sells like women's merchandise. Like he's a peddler who goes around to different ladies' houses and he sells perfumes. And
does it mean traveler?
It's a peddler. That's what it means. So when it says lo telech rachim, don't be like a peddler to go to this guy and that guy and the other. Either way, so this guy, he has like a moving boutique. The point is that he's very familiar with a lot of ladies because he goes to their house, he sells them stuff, he sells women's items. So it says Rabim hayu pitzei rochel. The injuries of a rochel were very much. Why?
That means the root of this is Aramaic, right? Not instead of Hebrew then.
Ruchla. I don't know if the root is. I'm not sure about that.
But there's an Arabic word, like a nomadic person is a rachel.
Okay, it could be. It comes from here. It could be the. Okay, so I believe it's Lashon HaKodesh, but Rabim. So either way, his injuries were a lot. Why? Because this guy would go around and he was very close with a lot of women, and some things happened and their husbands found out and they came and they beat him up. Because they are very common when it comes to Dvar Avera. Kenitzot ma'avir gachelet, kekiluv male of, ken batehem maleim mirma. The same way that a spark can ignite a coal, right? So similar, that Tava is the same way. With these things, it starts with a small spark, a small, conversation, a small, certain small actions that a person, if he looks back, will never think, I never thought that would lead to this. But that's how a fire works. A small spark can ignite a coal and can make a fire within somebody burn and, do wrong things. Kikluv maleof, the same way that a birdhouse is full of the chicken coop is full of chickens. Ken bataim meleim mirma. Their house also is full of, this rochel, his house is full of mirma, is full of deception. Al tatz atzarat machar. Don't fear the fear of tomorrow, because you don't know what today is even going to bring. Shema machar ba ve'enenu, maybe the next day is going to come and the person's not even going to be there. You're worried so much about what's going to be, the next day, the next month, the next year, but you don't even know if you're going to live it then. So nimtza mitztara olam sheno shelo, you're worried about something that you're not even there, it's not even your world. So just take it one day at a time. Mana rabim mitoch betecha, should refrain that everybody to come to your house, a lot of people to come to your house. Velo akol tavi betecha, don't bring everybody into your home. Rabim yu dorshe shalomecha, you should have a lot of friends, but galesod le'echad me'elef, but you should only teach sod to one of 1,000 you reveal secrets to. Okay, Amar Ravasi. We're gonna try to just get to the bottom of the Amud, a few more lines. Amar Ravasi, En ben David ba'ad she'ilchu kol neshamot shebeguf, shneimar ki ruach milfanai ya'atof u'neshamot ani asiti. We had this Gemara before also. Ravasi teaches that En ben David ba, Mashiach comes once all of the neshamot that need to be brought down are brought down. Tanya. Rabbi Eliezer Omer, Kol mi she'eno osek bepirya v'rivya kilu shofech damim. Rabbi Eliezer says anybody who doesn't try to be involved in pirya v'rivya, it's as if he's committing murder. He has the opportunity to bring down nishamot and he refuses to do it. We're talking about somebody who doesn't even try. No, this is not Zer. This is a different Gemara. There's a different Gemara that says who's Zer Levatala. Yeah, there's a different Gemara that says that person who's Mazriya, he brings Zer Levatala is Shofech Damim. This is different. This is saying whoever has the opportunity to be involved in Piriya Rivya, and he doesn't, even if he's not Motzi Zer Levatala, he just never is Motzi Zer.
This is like weird conclusions, though.
So we're gonna get to where it comes from.
Someone has to have like sex 24/7, otherwise they're killing people.
No. We're saying someone who.
Doesn't make any sense.
No. That's not what we're saying. We're saying someone who has the opportunity to be Mekayem Piriya V'Rivya, and he says, no, I don't want to. I don't want to get married. I don't want to be Piriya V'Rivya. I want to make money. That's what we're talking about. Right? We're not talking about someone who's trying and he can't accomplish it. That's a different story. That's not what we're talking about.
They're not doing it 24/7. That says
no, that's not true.
Like
as long as they're doing that's not true. What we're saying is if he's married and he tried to do Piriya V'Rivya, that's all we want. A person tries to accomplish Piriya V'Rivya. A person doesn't try to accomplish Piriya V'Rivya because he doesn't care for it. He's Shofech Dami. Shneimar doesn't mean that it's literal, the same as Shofech Damim. That's not what it means.
So they don't know.
Shneimar, it says in the pasuk, Shofech Dam Ha'adam. Let's try to get to the. Okay, Shofech Dam Ha'adam Ba'adam Dam Yishafech Uchtiv Batri V'Atem Peruvu. It says the Shefichut Damim, and then right away afterwards it says Peruvu. Yaakov Amar Ki'ilu Mimayet HaDemut. Yaakov says it's as if he's diminishing the demut, the tzelem of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shneimar ki b'tzelem Elohim asat Adam. Pasuk says that Adam is created in the tzelem of Hashem. Uchtiv Batri V'Atem Peruvu, and then right away afterwards it says Atem Peruvu. Ben Azai Omer Kilo Shovech Damim Umimayet Demut. Ben Azai says it's like both. Someone who doesn't care for Piriya V'Rivya and refrains from it, it's as if he's Shofech Damim and he's Mimayet, he's diminishing the demut of Hashem, the presence of Hashem in this world. Shneimar V'Atem Peruvu. So Amru Ben Azai, very famous Gemara, they said to Ben Azai, Yesh Na'edoref Shneim Mekayem. You have somebody who, he gives nice drashas and he follows through with it and he practices what he preaches. You have Na'em Mekayem Ve'en Na'edoresh. You have somebody who, he's Mekayem, he keeps things very well, but he doesn't know how to darshan properly. V'ata Na'edoresh Ve'en Na'em Mekayem. You're Na'edoresh, you're giving a nice drush over here about how important Piriya V'Rivya is, but you're not fulfilling it. So Amar Lahen Ben Azai Uma Yesesh Nafshi Chashka B'Torah. Ben Azai says, what am I supposed to do? Nafshi Chashka B'Torah, my soul desires Torah. So from here the Rambam learns that a person who is involved in Talmud Torah, he's allowed to delay Piriya V'Rivya for Talmud Torah. The world could be mitkayem by others. Ben Ish Chai has an interesting understanding of this Gemara. The Ben Ish Chai learns that this Gemara, he's saying Nafshi Chashka B'Torah, that because I'm so involved in Torah, he got to a point where he wasn't even able to, even if he tried to have Piriya V'Rivya, he couldn't have an erection. He used all of his kochot in Torah to the point that he couldn't have an erection.
I thought there's only one rabbi where that was allowed.
This is the famous Nafshi Chashka. This is the Ben Azai. Moshe Rabbeinu. Oh, okay. So the Gemara, it's a machloket whether he was Yotzeh because he had two boys, or Beit Shammai and Beit Hillel. But according to Beit Hillel, they said you're right. You can't learn from Moshe Rabbeinu. That was a different story. Let's read one more line and then we'll start Shachri. Tanya Yidach. We have another Braita. It's the same exact thing, just switches the names. Rabbi Eliezer Omer Kol Mi She'eino Osek B'Piriya V'Rivya K'du Shofech Damim Shneimar Shofech Dam Ha'adam V'Samich Levatem Peru Urvu. Rabbi Eliezer Ben Azariah Omer Ki'ilu Mimet HaDemut. Ben Azai Omer, just the same drashot. Ben Azai says, it's so bad if you don't do Piriya V'Rivya, is Shofech Damim and Mimet HaDemut. So Amar Ben Azai Yesh Na'edoresh, etc., etc. Okay, so we're holding by Tanur Rabbanan on the very bottom.
Praise everybody.